Hi, Andy here. Just a bit of an intro. Before I go that far, I just want to thank everyone personally again. We've hit over the 100 subscriber mark, which is absolutely super fantastic. Absolutely over the moon. Great effort by everybody. Thank you so much. The members, the subscribers, the creators. You've all really helped me achieve this bit of a milestone, which is great. Onwards and upwards. So thank you. This is an intro into Dear Day down Sunday. So it's Monday today, but Sunday, yesterday, last night, Dear Day, another down the virtual pub chat, and wasn't sure if anyone was going to join. As always, a little bit quiet right at the beginning, a lot of mumbling, so I'm sorry about that, but I was just trying to pass a bit of time waiting. Anyway, I was joined by 1LV. Thank you, dude. Really interesting. Then I was joined by, we were joined by Thomas from Norway, young lad, 19, first time on the channel. Really interesting to hear his views and viewpoints, and it was just a godsend that the channel is attracting new people, young people, older people, all walks of life. Would like to get some more. It'd be great to get some female input onto the channel, so any females out there, subscribers, come and join, come and say hello. Susie did from America a little while ago, and that was really cool. Well, Sue, sorry. And then we was joined by Kem. Hey, Kem, great, always great to have Kem on as well. Brilliant chat, all sorts of things we talked about, mainly around finance, elections, politics, philosophy, just a good old general chitty chat, which was really great. So hopefully you enjoy it. Sit back, it's a couple of hours long as always. Take good care of yourself, see you all soon. Bye. Well, live. So, Sunday, 26th of January, 2025. Now, I have no idea if anyone's going to turn up, but this is the virtual down the pub chat meetup. Hopefully someone turns up. I've got these characters that have turned up. I've got this guy here. What a beard. This guy here. This wizard here. And this guy here. This is my virtual pub background. So, I hope you're all well. What's going on here? Wires muddled up. Yeah, welcome to the virtual down the pub chat. Now, I've got a big thank you personally to make. I might as well grab it on before hopefully someone turns up. We hit finally, we've got to that 1,000 subscribers mark, which is going to be well, I don't know, because I've never had a monetized channel before. I don't know what it means. I don't know what it entails. I pressed a load of buttons yesterday, so it'd be quite exciting to see what happens now, because we were semi-monetized before. I still haven't received anything, but I'm not sure when I will. They do put a ceiling limit. You have to earn so much before they will give you any money. Typical Google. And yeah, you're paid from somewhere, Google Island. It's interesting, isn't it? Not. So yeah, we'll see how that works out. But what a concerted effort, you know. Camel and a Camel crew. We did that live during the week. Oh, it was great. He's definitely supported the channel big time. Well, everybody has, to be fair. The Stacker Social Sire over at Stacker Shower was shouted out a few times over the weekend. Blistering Barnacles, cheers as well. Cobra is always shouting out on his auction nights, on his videos. He said it was going to turn up tonight, but whether he does or not, I don't know. Yeah, what a concerted effort to get the channel to 1,000 subscribers. Now, as I said, I have no idea what that means. Hopefully, we'll earn some revenue in it. We can bash it all, try and get some fiat currency and convert it into probably Bitcoin to invest back in to the podcast, and hopefully grow some revenue from that and feed it back into the channel so we can do more. I have no idea what that means or what it will mean or what it entails. That's the fun of the journey, really. Really looking forward to that a lot. A lot, a lot, a lot. Yeah, it'd be pretty damn flipping cool. For sure. For sure. So a big cheers. Got a little glass of Pinot. Look at me, Pinot. Um, from dinner tonight. So cheers, everybody. Thank you very much for your help. Really appreciate that. Really enjoyed the live as well. It was a really great interaction. Got some new people on. Traveller Jim. He's got a beard like this guy here. This guy here. Um, yeah, and again, some different people from around the world. It's going to be interesting that one because every now and then I should just open up. I will do more lives going forward, but every now and then I will just open it up to all subscribers, anyone that's watching. But I think to be fair, I want to give the members their opportunity because they're contributing, and I think they've got the right to come on as a rule, not only on these virtual chats that I do every Sunday, although last Sunday was a washout. But hey, it is what it is. Everyone's busy. But yeah, with the Bitcoin one as well, uh, that'd be cool. That'd be really cool. I'm also looking forward. I'm off to Berlin on Wednesday for a couple of days to the World Money Fair, which I went to last year. I wasn't sure about going this year, but I've given in. I'm going to go because a few more people from the silver and gold community are going. It'd be nice to meet them. It'd be a nice little social event. That not sure whether I'm going to go mad like I've done in the past. My whole investment journey is really changing. The more I'm learning and the more I'm observing about what's going on, um, my attitude changes weekly, sometimes monthly, definitely. And I don't know, perhaps I'll get the opportunity to express myself a little bit more going forward. I know every cloud loves me having a rant, didn't you? Didn't you, dude? Um, but quite rightly so, really, to be fair. Um, I think we should we should have a rant. We should be able to express ourselves for sure. Um, yeah, I think that's really important. And I get in my old age, in my old infinite wisdom, if that's what you can call it. Something like a bit. Excuse me, sorry about that. I think the leads get a little bit sort of iffy on my mic. So I get a little signal come up on the screen sometimes and it says, oh, it's not working. So hopefully it's working. We'll find out, obviously. My phone's pinging. Down. So yeah, it's interesting. I've got a blabber. I hate this. I hate it. But the only reason why I hate it is because I can't really settle down into a subject to talk about because I don't know if anyone's going to pop on. But hey, that's the excitement of it all, I suppose. For sure. But in the meantime, we'll just wait and wait and wait and wait. Really, no, mates. Oh, man. Pardon me. I love this. This is so real. Absolutely so real. Don't know whether to start chatting or oh, talk to the barmaid. There's no barmaid here. Damn, that's disappointing. Hmm. Cheers. On to a cup of tea now. This happened a few weeks ago. Last week, I think I let it run for an hour. Maybe the maybe the universe is telling me something. Um, Interesting. So, what can I let rip into? I don't know. What am I frustrated with at the moment? Other than sitting here waiting, I shouldn't be frustrated. I shouldn't take it for granted. I think you do. YouTube. I could talk about my YouTube journey for a little while. It's really interesting. I've I've missed that interaction. What? Okay, let's start again. It's just so difficult because I really don't want to get into a subject matter. It's so challenging. It's unreal. So, what can I talk about that isn't so intense? I don't know. I have so much I want to talk about. The UK, Bitcoin, finance. It's all pretty fucked up, really. Um, Gold, silver, the whole mad journey, work, pensions, people's people just generally are fed up at the moment, really fed up. I'm not helping because I'm not being very positive. Oh my God, this is terrible. I want to, this is great to record this like this. Find it, I used to find it fairly easy on my other channel. It was just me. But now I've got so used to wanting to interact with people. Um, I find it a little bit frustrating now. And these guys standing behind me in this virtual bar, they're not interacting at all, are they? They're just lifeless. They're just like mad. Mad, mad, mad. I think I will just wait and see if anyone turns up. I'm just going to pause it now. Sorry, this has been a bit of a ramble, but hey ho, it is what it is.
Hi there, Andy. How's it
Hi,
going?
hiya,
Good to
mate.
see you.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
You're a frigging lifesaver.
Uh, nobody showed up.
Not yet, no.
It's gonna be okay. I'm pretty sure they're gonna come.
I'm sure as well. I was sitting there just rattling on about a load of old shit, really.
Nice background there.
Yeah, yeah, I thought I normally change that and put that on, but how are you, dude?
I'm good. I'm good. Just
Thank you.
relaxing.
I
Yeah.
noticed you in the live during the week, so thank you for popping in.
Oh yeah, no, it was great actually. I thought about jumping in, but then I was actually enjoying like new people coming in, and it's good to see new faces, and so it's always time for us to have a chat. I guess it's great that there was I forgot his name, but there was this guy who was kind of I think he's traveling around with his family. It was super nice listening
Trav,
to his stories. I'm looking forward to actually just getting to know him a bit better. And like I'm actually I mean that's kind of a little bit my dream. Like I'm dreaming with doing the same basically.
Traveller Jim
Yeah, travel a gym. I think yeah.
with a big beard.
Exactly.
This is why I've
That's the man.
tried. This is why I've tried to find these guys in my background
Oh,
with,
oh, nice.
with the beards.
All right.
So
Yeah.
how you getting on, mate? You doing all right?
Yeah. No, actually, I got a little bit inspired by the chat on Wednesday, and I just wanted to kind of I was having a chat with some people that were kind of looking into the Gini coefficient. Do you know what the Gini coefficient is?
I have no idea.
It's basically a number that tells you about the distribution, about how equally distributed a certain X. I don't know. In that case, it's an asset, and the asset is Bitcoin is. But you can basically, for example, usually I think it's used for looking at populations or nations and trying to understand the wealth distribution within a certain kind of population.
Okay.
And so I was just wondering because, it's the old story that everybody always talks about. It's like, oh, is retail coming? Is retail not coming? And I find this always a little bit odd because, on the one hand, we're just everybody's always talking about, how great Bitcoin is for everyone, and on the other hand, you have a lot of people that basically say like, oh, it would be great if like new people come into the space so that they can buy our bags and they can just buy Bitcoin as expensive as possible so that other people can make some money with it. But apart from this, I was just wondering, basically what I've done, and that's also a little bit where I've been coming in a bit late now today because I was just trying to figure out how to. I was kind of creating like a little dashboard and just looking at the different kind of segments, like how many people have, for example, 0 to 0.1 Bitcoin, how many have 0.1 to. So I think usually people like to give this all different kind of colorful names, like the whales and the dolphins and the shrimps
Shrimps,
uh, and I
crabs,
don't know, the turtles and I don't know whatever swimfish
dolphins, I
you're gonna
think
get,
is another one.
dolphins.
They,
So
they call it the wealth pyramid, don't they? The Bitcoin
yeah,
wealth pyramid.
probably. I've never heard that, but that sounds about right. And
Mm.
so just so now I was just kind of working out how many wallets you can associate to these kind of segments. And then, if you have the number of wallets and you have the number of in like Bitcoin, actual Bitcoin within these segments, then you can calculate the Gini coefficient. And then in the exercise, I just realized, oh, it's actually not really necessary because you see that it's not very well distributed. I mean, it's really most of the people that have most of the Bitcoin. 70 to 80% of the Bitcoin is held by people that have between 10 and 10,000 Bitcoin. I'm just looking at it right now,
Yeah.
or 10 and 100,000, sorry.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, you can easily see, and there. tons of tools. I'm using Dune, but there's also, I think, Sentiment, and there's a couple of other like
Yeah.
free tools that you can just use to look into these kind of things. And
If you're ultimately lazy, do you you watch people on YouTube, don't you?
yeah, sure.
If you watch a guy called James on Invest Answers,
Mm.
he does all that for you.
Yeah,
He, he,
I
he
like to do these kind of things by myself because I
oh,
don't
of
really
course.
trust people with data in general. Like I
Hmm.
just trust data that I look at myself. But having said that, I know that there's like a couple of excellent people to follow. I think particularly when it comes to these kind of like dashboard or tool specific videos. I think, I mean, I don't work for Dune and I don't really, I don't get paid by Dune, but I really love it. Like it's fantastic for all kinds of, particularly if you look into ERC20 tokens, they have, I mean, it's just great. If you like to play around with data,
Yeah,
it's really a nice Sunday evening exercise.
absolutely. Do you like the concept of Bitcoin, or
Excuse me?
do you like the concept of what Bitcoin is, or?
Yeah, no, I think we've spoken about this
Yeah.
quite a lot. So I guess I wouldn't be here if I wouldn't really like. I totally um I totally I have to say, like, as we all did, probably we all kind of went through the Bitcoin rabbit hole, and then after a couple of years, you just kind of try to sometimes go into the exercise where you do this little role play and you just say, okay, if I hated Bitcoin, if I were like just play the devil's advocate, like if I were a CIA agent and I had traded Bitcoin, like what would I want to know, what would I want the world to do right now in the next step, or something like this, just to kind of play around a little bit with some scenarios where you can say, okay, this is completely crazy, but I'm in the What podcast, so I can say whatever I want.
Say whatever
And
you want.
no, I'm just kidding. But
No, you
it's
can.
sometimes quite sobering because you realize when people talk, and it's nice. Like if they say, yeah, Bitcoin is a fantastic tool, and you can invest your money into an asset that actually is somehow somewhere kept somewhere and cannot just be produced, and so that we just devalue whatever we have, be it, I don't know, dollar or pound or euro, depending on where you live. Yeah, but then it's kind of with every asset, like when just a small amount of people hold most of the actual like circulating supply, then I just wonder when people talk about adoptions, like how will people that live maybe in certain parts of the world, in certain continents, in certain countries that do not have access, like maybe even like permanent access to electricity or stuff like that, or maybe not really don't live in environments where safety is something that is for granted. Like many places in the world, you know, like self custody is not really like even, I mean, I wouldn't say it's not an option, but it's not as easy as if you live somewhere in Central or Western Europe.
Yeah.
Um, and then even that, I mean, and I don't mean to be arrogant or in any way classicist. I just mean that if you grow up somewhere in Switzerland, you for sure have a different kind of approach to safety. And if you have you should most likely, everybody knows that, but you should keep your hardware wallet somewhere very safe, in a safe or somewhere where you think nobody can access it apart from you. But
Absolutely.
it's not the same for everyone. And so if maybe you see it in a very different way if you grew up somewhere, let's say in Colombia,
Yeah.
in Medellin in the 90s, where safety was not really like a thing.
I find it absolutely fascinating at the moment. I think that we seem to be going through a new phase in Bitcoin. And it almost seems that since the ETF were launched back in January last year, since institution, apparently institution, well, it looks like it, has got a lot of interest in Bitcoin now. It's fascinating me to see where it's going to go now, whether
Mm.
it's going to be possibly what I thought it could be 3 years ago, Now the big boys are getting in. Now possibly it's going to be politicalized. Possibly the banking industry is going to get on it now, and I don't know how much that the world will be able to actually get their hands on it at the levels of what I thought they could do 3 years ago. It's fascinating. It really is a fascinating story, and I think it's really changed, really changed big time. Now the the money, the boys' club, as I call it, seem to be getting involved, and it's going to be an interesting battle to see what they do with it, whether they financialize it, whether they just try and monopolize it, whether they can manipulate it in the old-fashioned banking way. It's fascinating. It's a real fascinating story, but all I can say is I'm really pleased that I managed to get in and just see where it goes, really.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I would even say that the question is not really whether they manage to financialize it or not, because that this is happening is not really like a question anymore. That's like, I think, I don't know. I don't know a lot of people. Maybe it's because of me and my surroundings, but I don't know a lot of people that really buy Bitcoin because they say, oh, I really believe in the actual values, the core values of what Satoshi was stands for, and what the white paper and what the whole kind of ideology behind that was or is. Hopefully, still is, but maybe was. And so yeah, that kind of already tells you something. And that's kind of also, I mean, you can project the same thing also to all the other projects. I guess I wasn't really, to be honest, like I wasn't there when Ethereum had the ICO, or when Ethereum was created and smart contracts were created, and the whole kind of concepts of decentralized autonomous organizations and all these other projects. But I think at some place and some time there is still, but there were people that have this kind of like attitude that or this ideology that people could actually somehow share responsibility, but also the benefit of creating a project and creating new value that would somehow be shared in terms of whatever the asset is called, but it might be somehow a tokenized form of asset. And now, and all of this was somehow always kind of very strong in line with decentralization, basically somehow creating systems that cannot easily be that are designed in order to be resistant to manipulation. Even though we all know that everything is always manipulated, but there's definitely systems that are easier to manipulate than others. And so I believe that now, I guess we just see it's so evident. It's almost too evident, like it's so blatant that basically most of the projects are super highly centralized, and most of the people just want to put their money somewhere on things like Solana, or like things that were actually the whole ideology is completely left behind. And so I'm not saying that making money is a bad thing, but
Yeah,
there's always this kind of bittersweet taste to it, I guess.
it's the
I don't know how
underlining.
you see it, but I guess it's something that is not very often discussed, particularly in bull markets, I guess, because in bull markets people just want to go to the number, see the number go up.
Chase the number,
Yeah.
and get all excited, but not really think about too much about what's really going on. We've been joined by TG23. Hello,
Hello there.
TG23.
Hello, guys. Yeah, first time here.
Hey, welcome. Thank you for coming
Thank
on.
you.
Hey,
Excellent.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys. Pleasure to meet you, Andy. Been a
Yeah,
fan for a couple of months now, so yeah.
excellent.
Fantastic.
Thank
Good
you
to
so
see you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, can we call you TG?
You can call me Thomas. Yeah,
Thomas. Okay, Thomas.
Thomas. Yeah.
Brilliant. So, what brings you on board, Thomas? What have you been up to?
Oh, it was Camel Finance that put me on this. So I've just been listening for a couple of months. Big fan of gold and everything you guys do, and
Mhm.
and you have some special content that you don't often see. So it's fun to be around and listen to you guys.
Oh,
That's
brilliant.
great. It's good to hear.
Yeah, we was just talking about Bitcoin, me and one LV, and but the hot. I mean, have you watched the down the virtual pub things? I mean, it can go anywhere. I mean,
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah,
we
you know, I'm
we've had
from
it.
Norway, so we don't really talk so much about those kind of stuff.
Oh, really?
So this is the first kind of spot I had the opportunity to talk like to other people or listen to other people talk
Hmm.
about those kind of stuff. So here in Norway, we're kind of shy to talk about things. So yeah.
Well, that's the whole point of the channel, really, just to make it a safe space for people to talk
Yeah.
about anything, really.
Yeah, you're totally in the right place then, TG. Good to see you. Good to meet you. I actually have a question for you now that because it's somehow in line with what we were just talking about. Like in Norway, when it comes to self-custody, like if you have your own little Bitcoin wallet, do you feel comfortable like in terms of because I was just saying before that in terms of safety, obviously you don't have the same situation in every country, and in some countries it might be a bit safer than in other countries. And if we want to kind of see adoption increase in the coming years, then obviously the question arises: how is this going to work in different countries? How are different countries going to deal with self custody of your own Bitcoin? And so I was wondering. I've never spoken to anybody in Norway about this. I don't know how you see this in your own country. Do you have any issues with safety, or would you say no, that's actually not an issue at all?
So it really depends about the position size you have in Bitcoin, you can say. Because the banks keep really track of what you use, you can say. So I have seen many people with a lot of money in Bitcoin get like letters from the bank saying that they will like stop that freeze the bank account if they don't say how much Bitcoin they have and where they have it and everything like that. So it
Wow.
is kind of it's not really self custody. So
Oh, okay.
so now I don't have that much that haven't come for me yet. So, but you never know in the future, right? So I'm still young, so maybe one day they will come after me, and but we'll see. I think Norway is quite strict, and yeah, really, the banking system is not like I think the UK is strict as well, but not as strict as Norway, and they really keep us in line with the taxes and so high with the people on top, so everybody is almost equal. Yeah.
That's interesting. So, do is there many people? That's a good question. Hopefully, in your social circle, are many people talking about Bitcoin, silver, gold investing, or anything like that? Or is it just something that people don't talk about, like in the UK, very private over money and bits and pieces? Or is it just generally not very sort of widespread in
Yeah,
conversation?
yeah, we don't really talk about it. I talk a lot about it because yeah, I can look at the chart every single minute of every day. So luckily I have a father that got me into it at a young age, so I talk to him a lot. So I don't my friends, my social circle, I'm 19, so they don't haven't got into it that yet. So I'm only just talking to my dad, and you guys are so entertaining. So I, yeah, that is
That's
almost what I do.
that's really cool that someone else has spoken to that them and their father
Yeah.
are doing the same sort of thing. And I think that gets back to what I was saying on my live on Wednesday, that it's down to us older generation, us dads, to step up a little bit. And if the boys, if your sons are interested or your daughters are interested, then we have to pave the way and support and learn and try to pass a bit of wisdom and get people to, or get our children to, lead by my example. more than anything if they want to. So that's really encouraging to hear again. I'm hearing that quite a bit. Is that anything that you've experienced, LV, or have you just found this on your own?
No, actually, I think my father, I think, is quite happy if he can somehow send a WhatsApp message. So I
Okay.
think the only reason why he goes close to anything with the computer is to communicate with me, probably, or with, yeah. So no, I guess no, but I think in your last chat with Alex, I think he was saying as well that that he has learned something from his father, if I remember correctly, or at least talking about finance and investments. And yeah, no, I think TG, that's fantastic. Like if you can have this type of relationship with your father, I think that's really great. That is really something to take care of. Yeah.
19. That's just such a young, brilliant age to have an interest in this sort of thing. It really is. So hats off to you, Thomas.
Thank you. Yeah, been thinking of pursuing career in financial advisor or something like that. We'll see. I love trading, so starting off small and hopefully one day we can make it big. But it's so much taxes here in Norway. You can't imagine the top 15%.
Yeah.
So crazy. Yeah.
So go on, I'm going to ask you a question. You said you love trading. What is it about trading that has really sort of got to you? What is it about doing that?
Uh, it's like I was gambling a bit when I was turning 18. And then I realized I wasn't going so much in like minus, but I realized that is not the way to go forward with life. So I needed to find something that I found as much adrenaline as I got from gambling, and trading was exactly that. And when I found out you can actually be profitable trading, then it was like, wow, this is fun.
Okay. And how long have you been doing this?
So I funded my account in June. Um, so I turned 18 last November, and then I found Camel Finance in November last year. Follow him, and I got hold of you guys, so that was amazing. And then just built my courage up to put some money into it, and right now it's going great. So yeah.
Excellent. What's because I don't trade. I just invest. Probably. I wish I was a lot younger because I probably look into it a lot more. But what would you say is the most frustrating thing that you find with trading? Not enough hours in a day, or
No, actually, it's that I can't take enough trades. I really want to put on a trade every minute I see the chart, but I need to like keep myself composed and just like find the right setup and yeah, do get some good high probability trades that actually go in profit. Yeah,
yeah. Oh, wicked. There's a lot of learning, isn't there?
absolutely. But it's a lot of fun. It's a steep learning curve, but yeah, it's fun.
And LV, jump in as soon as you want to, dude.
Sure. No, no,
Uh,
I think I totally agree with TG. Like, it's very often very difficult to kind of have the patience just to have a high probability setup. But I have to also admit that I'm not even sure if I would really say that I'm a trader because I'm definitely not confident enough to say this online. So I'll just consider myself an investor for the moment, but that kind of might change. I don't know. I'm kind of like I'm more excited about learning. I have the feeling the more and more like with months and maybe now even like yeah, like with time, it just all kind of, it's a little bit like when you play chess for a very, very long amount of time, then you start seeing like different kind of movements and different kind of patterns already before they actually happen. And I kind of always like to do this comparison because I used to play a lot of chess when I was a kid, and I thought that I wasn't that bad at it. So that's how I feel sometimes when, particularly when, that's why I like the videos also when Kimosabi is like it's like doing his magic and just kind of like really sees things that it's just really showing that he has a lot of experience. And yeah, and so at the moment I'm looking a lot into Elliott Wave, and I really love it because you just start to see things, and the good thing is that all this data is like openly accessible. You just go in TradingView and you can knock yourself out for like hours and days, and you just look at it and refresh to a new page, and then do it differently and do it again. And I wish, the only thing that I wish sometimes is that I had maybe more people that would be somehow have this, same obsession so that they can just bounce off each other and learn faster. But maybe one of these days when I feel a bit more confident, I'm gonna have a chat with Kimo. If he is up for it, then I'd love to, get his opinion, and maybe if it's just once or twice, I'm sure it could help a lot.
100%. It's I admire these guys. That's why I wish I was younger more than anything, because I would
Who
definitely,
doesn't?
yeah, exactly. I would definitely want to dabble in it more, but I've got no need to now. Well, everyone, we've all got a need to get more. It, just the
Uh,
time, and it's my brain. My brain won't
yeah, no, it's
have to
true.
spend too much time trying to fathom things in. My worst, I'm being honest here, my worst nemesis really is trusting. The more I've done deep dives around Bitcoin, learnt about money, I I I really struggle with my old brain and probably life experience to really trust what's going on out there anymore. For me personally, I think things are more heavily manipulated than what I'd like to think that aren't manipulated, but I can't get. The more I suppose what I'm trying to say is the more I dig in, the more I come back to, well, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Let's look at this logically, because I'm an engineer at heart, and then you work it out logically, and you think, wow, that really doesn't make sense. How can volume of a share or a crypto be in high demand and have more buyers and sellers, and the price doesn't go up? What's going on there? And then that takes you down a rabbit hole of trying to find out how that market works, and then you find out about other bits of the market that go on in the background, and you think, oh my god, this is definitely a far complicated world that is not probably meant for me at my age to get my head
What is,
round.
do you have an example, like just lately? Because I know you probably come across many of those moments, but do you have an example, like a specific thing lately where you said, I don't know, I had this moment where I just said, oh my God, like, I didn't see that before. Like, maybe it can be like surprising, can be sinister, can be anything. Like, do you have anything in specific that you could share?
Sorry, can you, yeah, go on. Um, Broaden the question out a little bit more.
Like, you said, like sometimes you have these moments where you go and you literally said, oh my God, like, because I think you described that you just somehow stumbled across something, or you found something, you found out something that is basically like, I don't know, a provocation, or somehow leads you to wonder about something, that you basically identified a new thing that you didn't know before. Like, can you give me or us an example for something specific?
Oh, crikey, great question. I'll have to think about that. Probably when I look at,
Because if you want to, I mean, you can just think about it, and we can talk about something else. But I find this really interesting because I have, obviously we all have these moments, And I can give you something very simple. Like I routinely, like once in a while, I'm quite fascinated about the fact that we all kind of like talk about Bitcoin and the whole world, and even like huge like asset managers like invest in this thing called Bitcoin. But at the same time, nobody actually really knows where this came from, which always like this is really something that sometimes I go like, oh my God, like how, you know, smart or stupid are we? Because there's this guy or this group of people or this woman or who knows who kind of like wrote this white paper, and everybody goes like, yeah, let's put in money, and it seems to work, and it's fantastic, and it's been around for a long time, battle tested, etc., etc. But at the same time, also, isn't it so strange that I mean, isn't it really strange that it's nobody actually really knows where this came from?
Yeah.
Isn't it something that makes you wonder, where you think like, I mean, it makes sense because who really wants to put his name or her name, you know, underneath that thing? Then, you know, you'll be responsible, and that's not a cool place to be right now. But I mean, at least not if you're somehow mentally healthy. And I guess if you're an absolute sociopath and you want to just, you have a big ego, maybe Elon Musk would claim it. But, but I really don't want to be in that spot.
I think I get what you mean now. I think on my journey, I think while I was trying to learn about this thing called Bitcoin, I think in the early days you get muddled up in number, scarcity, what it stands for. It's the next biggest thing. Like there's a lot of comparison to the internet and how talk of the devil. Look, your man's arrived.
Oh, yeah. How's it going? Good to see you.
Hi Cam,
Let's see if this works.
it's
Hear me loud
working.
and clear?
Certainly hear you loud and clear.
Fantastic.
No, we got some hobbits in the background. Are we going to Middle Earth on this one? Is this the way out there that we're going to Middle Earth?
Exactly. I thought, well, virtual. I'm always looking for different things on the background, and after the live, with Traveller Jim dropping in with this massive beard, I thought virtual. I'm gonna look for some backgrounds for like a virtual pubby, way out there fantasy. And then I saw this and I thought, oh, I do. These guys have got big beards. Remind me of Traveller Jim. And I thought, yeah, that'd be cool, just for a bit of fun. You all right, dude?
Yeah, doing all right. A lot of running around today, barely making it, but hey, I'm here now.
Yeah, thanks for dropping in. And we are obviously, you know, 1LV, you've spoken to 1LV, but we've got a young man from Norway called Thomas as well.
Nice to meet you, Thomas Abe. Watching
Mm,
videos for a while as well. So great, pleasure to meet you.
nice. I like to see new faces. Loving it.
Or new numbers on a screen.
And you got some new numbers that I just noticed. You're over 1,000 subs.
Dude, yeah, we've made it, you know.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's yeah, I've got to thank everybody for supporting the channel, really. It's I don't know what the implications of it are, Cam. But it's nice to get to that. We're going to monetize the channel. I did put a post up to say I now want to rape the shit out of fiat as much as I can on the channel and reinvest it into Bitcoin and try and build the channel funds up that way to do more with it, really. But we'll
Nice.
see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's a big. It's one of those little goals that obviously you've been there, you've got there. Perhaps you can tell us a little about money. Did you monetize your channel?
I did not monetize. I'm not really interested.
Yeah,
I don't know the implications of what that would do. It would probably grow the channel because as soon as you monetize, then YouTube starts pushing the algorithm a little more
yeah,
because they want their revenue as well. So, I'm not trying to reach out to that many people. Small circle of people that are willing to listen. That's all I'm interested in,
yeah.
and I don't want to get overwhelmed because I know Camel he gets a lot of trolls,
He does. He does
and
indeed.
I'd just block them all. I'm like, I don't need to deal with your crap.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Sorry, I don't know what I was talking about now, one. I was talking about
Yeah,
something.
what I miss?
Was talking about Bitcoin.
I love me some Bitcoin.
Lord, me some
Yeah, we're just
Bitcoin.
talking about things like I think Andy was saying that sometimes there are moments where he's just really fascinated. He figures out something completely new, and I was just saying that yeah, it's not even just things that you didn't know before. Like sometimes it's even like things that you knew were coming or you already read before, and you just kind of like think back and say like, how do we actually get here? And as an example, I brought that it's kind of funny that nobody really knows Satoshi Nakamoto, if it's a man, a woman, a group of people, but in a way, like somehow still it doesn't it doesn't mean that people cannot put in like millions of millions into that asset. And I sometimes when I just in a quiet moment I just think about it and be like, wow, isn't that kind of, I don't know any other asset that is like that. It's really funny.
Oh, for sure. Like Bitcoin is something totally new, and it doesn't conform to our current system or payment rails or just everything. It's a totally new asset, and I still of the opinion that people underestimate what it actually is. People have the idea of store of value or some kind of payment mechanism, and I think it's a method of replacing the debt system. Like it's way bigger than just payment and store of value. I think we have a decent store of value here with gold. I think that's been tried, tested, and true. It works great. So, in order for Bitcoin and gold to coexist, I think Bitcoin needs to fulfill a different role, and I think it's going to be bigger than people can even envision. Maybe even myself, that I can't envision it. However, it's kind of getting captured. Like we were talking this like last month or something like that. How it's kind of Camel put it as dirty,
Mm.
that it's kind of tainted, and I see that with the BlackRock and all Wall Street getting involved in it, and they're they're raping it basically. Which, yeah, that's the ultimate test maybe for Bitcoin.
Tim, can I ask you a
But
quick question?
sure,
You said, did you say it's a possibility of replacing the debt system?
yeah,
Okay, so I've got a really great question with that I'm not expecting anyone to have the answers or anything. That when I hear things like that, I can't help but think, well, whoever created Bitcoin, if they had that in mind, why did they have that in mind? And who would want to create that to have that in mind? If that makes any sense whatsoever.
yeah. It's I mean, I would think it's whoever has the most amount of debt. They needed some kind of escape. So I think it was created by U.S. government entities. It just makes sense. That's where the technological advancements have been over the past 50 years. So it kind of fits. So the U.S. stockpile reserve, it might be Satoshi's wallet for all we know. We honestly don't know. Um,
That's
if it
sad.
is to replace the debt system, it would be. I mean, it was kind of obvious in 2008, 2009 that there was a problem with the debt. And if you study the debt cycles, like Ray Dalio, he puts out great information on the debt cycle, which is like an 80 or 90-year cycle, and it resets every time. So you go from sound money to fiat money back to sound money, and it just oscillates back and forth. And we're at that point where we're headed back towards sound money. And maybe this is a technological advancement to either supplement gold or supplant gold, maybe, but that's high risk thinking.
It's interesting though, isn't it? Because I had the same feeling. I've had the same feeling for a while because why would you want to invent something? And then I think I said it to Camel when we was chatting offline at some point. I said, why would you want to invent something and then put 1 million in storage and not do anything with it for ages and ages and ages and ages? Don't you think that possibly at some point someone will go, okay, we can solve this problem, and we knew about this a long time ago, and we just put this as a precaution, and we'll just see what was going to happen because we knew something was going to happen. I'm not convinced, but it definitely would not surprise me if someone at some point come out and go, this is what we did to protect whatever, or to make something new
It's for
come
your
out.
greater good. We did it
Yeah.
for you. Yeah,
Oh, of course, yeah.
we have
It's
the
interesting,
solution.
isn't it? And it's funny that you just said that off your head. And that's getting back one LV. That's one of the things that I sort of have during my deep dive. They're the sort of things that logically don't make sense to me. Why would someone out of the good of their own heart give something to humanity? I'm not saying it's not impossible, and you can look at biblical things that apparently has happened that have done the same thing. But why would it give something to humanity and then keep a whacking great big stockpile of it set by? And they're the sort of logical things I look at that sometimes make me go, do I trust this? Do I trust not? Because a lot of people will say other narratives. It's interesting. It's so interesting.
You
It's
trust.
basically what I was sorry. It's basically what I was trying to allude to when we started our conversation, Andy. Like sometimes, once in a while, I said before chemo that once in a while it's very healthy to kind of put yourself into do this kind of intellectual exercise or mind exercise, and you just say, if I were, I don't know, a CIA agent in the early 80s, or how would I kind of have created this to if I can see how the market is going to move in the next 30 to 40 to 50 years, in order to basically create an exit strategy or some kind of alternative. And there might actually even be much more scenarios than just Bitcoin, and they haven't revealed themselves yet. But it's a funny exercise that is just I mean it's obviously there's a lot of very serious implications, but at the same time sometimes it's just fantastic because you can go places inside your mind where you just just sometimes I'm even starting to laugh all by myself and just like, no, this is too crazy. I have to keep this for the What podcast.
Thomas, jump
Yeah,
in whenever you want to, mate.
Yeah, sure. Now this is great. Enjoying it. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
so the trust. So you can trust that whoever the big boys club is, they want to maintain their club. That you can trust, right?
Sure.
So if they needed an exit, they found an exit, a potential exit to save their club. So the algorithm that Bitcoin runs on is SHA-256, which was a military program uh, developed by the I don't know which part of the military, but just say it's the military industrial complex. They developed the SHA-256 algorithm for encryption, and it just made sense to be able to encrypt some type of monetary value to store it. You can get into the quantum computing and how that might disrupt that. I think the quantum computing disrupting Bitcoin, I'm not as worried about that as nuclear codes or the power grid, stuff like that. There's way bigger targets than Bitcoin out there. But yeah, you have the SHA-256, and eventually it eventually finds its way into protecting money. So this could have been just developed as a new technology and wasn't meant to be an escape until people are looking for the exits that have a lot of money or financial incentive to do so. They look for the exit, and they found a potential exit here where, hey, I can throw my stuff in there and it's safe via this algorithm and encrypted, and you can't confiscate it. It makes sense that they want to protect themselves with that escape. So I think they're already positioned since 2018, maybe as early as 2016. These good old boys have been positioned for any problems that come in the future at a much better price point on Bitcoin. But yeah, just because the price is high doesn't mean it won't go higher. We really don't know what they designed it for, what their plan is for this asset. And even recently, we've had the talk of the strategic Bitcoin reserve for the U.S. government, and now they're talking about a crypto reserve, which has people thinking XRP. And on X, they've had discussions now, kind of fights, if you will, Bitcoiners versus XRP people, and discussing which one is better, and pick your horse. But each one has its merit, and I think everybody's very much focused on number go up instead of the underlying protect yourself, thinking sound money. So I'm a big proponent of Bitcoin, but I can see the relevance of XRP to have a place for liquidity purposes, especially during a debt crisis. I think liquidity is going to be massively needed, and XRP could fulfill that role. It is a banker's coin. Everybody knows that. So you would have to expect the banks to still be around in order for XRP to succeed. But if XRP is not going to be around, then maybe that's just the liquidity rail to exit the system. It goes through XRP. Just thinking out loud.
But when you refer to XRP, Kimo, do you refer to the actual Ripple blockchain, like to the infrastructure, or do you refer to the actual coin XRP? Because I was wondering, why would, like, I understand, and I also I've been thinking a lot about not only liquidity itself, but also how all of this has changed the velocity of investments. Like, if you invest, if you even, like, if a government, like if the US prints money and the money goes into Bitcoin, like once it's somewhere on chain, it knows no borders. It knows nothing. Like, it basically can, I was thinking, even from a business perspective, you could create a business and run it just with a stable coin and an ERC20, I don't know, something like USDT, or run it on some stable coin that for sure will be also running on the Ripple blockchain, or just use XRP. But just to get rid of this whole volatility thing that all these tokens have. And if you look at the price action of XRP, it doesn't look like a stable coin, or at least for most of the time it actually does. But then at some point it's actually quite volatile. So I was just wondering, like, I think what I would find interesting is the combination of this high velocity liquidity that can just be immediately anywhere. Like, you can even open a business somewhere in, I don't know, in Ecuador, and if you use stable coins, they can be there in a matter of seconds, and it might come from a whole different place. And that opens up a lot of other questions, like how is this going to be regulated in a way, because nobody is going to give this away for free. Like, people are not going to just make money and be like, okay, you take it. I mean, obviously you will have to still provide services and products. They're not going to give you money for free, but I hope you understand that this was not like that before. Like, only a few years ago, it would take a long time. Like, that's the reason why most of the people say anything in the market takes like a couple of months, like maybe half a year, to somehow actually really show the effect. I don't know. I'm just going to stop talking here, and maybe you can go ahead. It's just so difficult because one thing leads to another, and sometimes I have the feeling when you're in the flow, you just go with it.
Yeah, it does. The advent of the internet, it was probably meant as a system of control to control the masses and get the media out there. But it's a tool just like anything else. You can use it to spread real information. So, like Elon Musk said, we are the media. We can, provide our own truths and get people thinking. So you're using the internet for the betterment of humanity. And the same thing can be done for these blockchain technologies, where they can be they can trap you, if you will. Like, you'll be surveilled. All the data is on chain. It's all verifiable by anybody in the world. But that can also be used for the greater good, depending on this tool and how they use it. Getting back to the XRP thing, like, while I was talking, I kind of had this epiphany that I didn't think of before, how they refer to the XRP token as like a bridge token, and it's supposed to bridge liquidity. And I think the thinking is, cross-border payments and stuff like that. But what if the actual bridge that XRP ends up being the bridge currency from the old system to the new system, and that's the liquidity that's actually necessary. My mind is exploding on that just now, just thinking about it. Like they're telling you what they're doing, but you're interpreting it wrong. And it's the actual bridge system from the debt system to the new blockchain-based, basically the opposite of debt. Because that's the way I see gold. I see Bitcoin as like the opposite of debt. There is no debt liabilities with an asset that is fixed like that. And you could put debt on top of it the way like Michael Saylor's doing. But I'm hoping the market probably rejects that idea, and Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy kind of falls because they're using it wrong. But yeah, that exit liquidity, that could be the Ripple XRP token, and that's everything has to flow on that ledger in order to get to Bitcoin.
Could you explain what you mean a little bit more simply about using it as a bridge? Kimo, please.
It's supposed to be a bridge asset. Now, I'm not an expert on the XRP ledger. I actually don't see a utility for the token. I don't see any value in the token. The ledger, however, is very valuable. So the bridge currency being XRP, the way it's touted is you would enter US dollars onto the ledger via an XRP token, transmit it to China, and then exit in Chinese yuan.
Okay.
So it would bridge the US dollar to the Chinese yuan within seconds. And that would provide instant liquidity anywhere in the world that's necessary. But it also provides liquidity to other blockchains once they link them all together, or you could put US dollars or even treasury certificates on the XRP ledger, transmit that value into Bitcoin or even potentially into gold or silver or other precious metals that could be a line item on this ledger, like the tokenization of all assets, the way they're talking now, RWA, real world assets, on the XRP ledger. You could tokenize gold. That way you can transmit the value of gold like a blockchain, like just like Bitcoin or XRP. It would be synonymous. I actually sent a message to Peter Schiff because he was talking about how Bitcoin is slow and gold has the value. And I said to him, well, why don't you just make your gold token and put it on a blockchain, a gold blockchain, and then you can transmit your gold value and you can pay for a cup of coffee with gold very easily. And I didn't get any response. But it makes sense that he would be the guy to do it because he's got so much gold and so much, he's got a following.
Isn't that basically what Paxos does? Pax Gold is, and also I think Tether has the XAUT, which is tokenized gold. I think they do basically exactly that.
Yeah. I think that's the way the world is kind of heading. They're trying to tokenize these assets to be able to transmit them.
Yeah.
I would just think Peter Schiff would capitalize on his name and make his own shitcoin.
Yeah.
With gold. It just makes sense. It's a Schiff coin, basically.
Yeah. I think the Schiff coin. I think I think the thing is, that's basically exactly what I meant before, and just used a lot of words. But using I think Ripple is the name of the company, and I think that the network itself is also called Ripple. But
it's the XRPL.
Oh, okay. Because I thought that the XRP is actually just the name of the coin that runs on the Ripple ledger, but maybe it doesn't matter. It's just nomenclature, but we're talking about the same thing.
That's what it is. XRP is the coin that runs on the XRP ledger. Okay. And the company Ripple is the one that is meeting with banks and trying to offer this technology to banks for instant settlement. So there is progress there, and banks are very interested in it. They're just waiting for regulators, supposedly, to say it's okay to do it. I don't see why they wouldn't. I think it's going to be necessary. So this is like the whole debt collapse thing that makes sense that it's coming. That will tighten up liquidity. Anytime there's a debt crisis of any kind, people are paying down their debt, that tightens liquidity. And then your economy goes to a halt. It's a standstill because you can't borrow money very easily. And if you have a token like XRP that provides instant liquidity, it could get you that it could dig you out of a hole that otherwise would be you'd be waiting for the debt markets to recover, which might take a decade, whereas XRP could have it solved in like a year and a half.
But where's all this money coming from to basic? Because in the end, the debt is not going to. I mean, it's still there. It just needs to. It's not going to disappear, right? I think. I mean, you might create somehow. You might increase the velocity with which people can somehow. I don't know, somehow trade and invest and buy the debt, but like the tokenized debt that is then on the ledger, on the XRP ledger, but it's not gonna disappear, right?
No, they would probably tokenize the debt if I had to
Yeah.
guess. If you have the U.S. Treasuries, which are that's the most liquid market currently on Earth, if you put that tokenize it onto a ledger like the XRP ledger, then you can
Mm,
transmit those treasuries and settle them instantly. So if you want to
exactly.
buy a treasury, you could have it within seconds, and it would just make things very, very quick. So the debt doesn't necessarily disappear, and the debt never really gets paid off, does it? Um, I
Yeah.
was listening to a video. Ken O'Keefe is the guy's name. He's a war veteran, and he says a lot of things. He's a big supporter of Gaza and all that stuff. But he was talking about the financial system and how it's a debt-based financial system. So money is lent into existence. That's how the money is created. It's created through the issuance of debt, and there's a little uh, interest that is associated with that. So, say you have $100 that is created into debt, and then you have that 1% interest. So then, essentially, you have $101 worth of debt that has to be paid back, but you only have 100 units in order to pay it back with. So that 1% never gets paid off. So the system is meant to keep you enslaved
Mm.
for that 1% constantly. So you're constantly borrowing money to keep up with it. And maybe the whole world subconsciously is kind of realizing that this system doesn't work for anybody but the ones that are charging the percentages, i.e., the
Mhm.
banks, and they may want to be moving away from that.
It's really funny, actually. I don't know if I've ever said this to you guys, but I think when I was a kid, I was doing the same thing with my little brother, like exactly the same thing, just for fun, because he was like much younger, and obviously we were just playing around. And then everybody, like obviously my parents told me, no, that's not cool. Don't do that. Like he has no chance to, is doing everything you say because he believes he's got that with you. And then after like 30 years, 40 years, I realized, oh, that wasn't actually that stupid. That's how it really, that's how everything works. Yeah, man.
But no, that's how you maintain control over everybody. Because like we keep saying in these podcasts, like everybody's chasing that U.S. dollar or the British pound. We're all chasing finances, and we're chasing the debt. Essentially, we want that debt in order to uh, make a life for ourselves. So that's why there's a demand for it. But we're all fooled by the matrix and told that that's what we want, whereas we should think critically and think, well, we need to get to more sound money and better ourselves and think critically. That's what gold and silver is for. And now maybe Bitcoin. I don't know that XRP is the way to go, but I think they all go up in value. But that's also where they trap you. It's going up in value versus the US dollar versus the British pound. And we're still thinking in terms of fiat instead of thinking, is it going up in terms of gold or Bitcoin? Those are the charts you have to pay attention to.
I'm still so stuck on this tokenizing of gold thing.
I think it's genius.
I, I need to understand it, Ken, because I'm trying to wrap my head around, and I've got a terrible old stupid head. I'm trying to get my head around, like, how does that work? If you're, or how does it improve transferring the value of gold because you're still holding the underlying gold?
Wow, that would actually make the value of gold go up, wouldn't it?
I don't know.
So in basic terms, to transmit it, think of an exchange traded fund or an ETF where some kind of entity, we'll just say BlackRock does it. BlackRock goes and buys a big stockpile of gold to the value of $100 billion worth of gold. They set that in their vaults and it's verified and they upkeep it or whatever. So there's fees associated with that. And that stockpile is then put onto a ledger where you can trade shares of that gold that's sitting in their vaults.
Okay.
So it wouldn't necessarily be your gold that you have sitting under your mattress, but eventually I think you could tokenize your own gold, but you'd have to convince people that you actually have it, which can be verified. It certainly, there's a way to do it. You probably need video evidence or something like that and put that on the blockchain and say, I've got the gold.
The gold oracle.
Yeah,
That would be
yeah.
great, actually. And Andy, you might be able to do this, right? You just basically, yeah, there's a business case for you. You just tokenize all your gold and then you put it on some chain. Hopefully not, XRP, but maybe you create your own. And
I could assure you, I haven't got a stockpile of gold.
Brilliant. I'm gonna grab a beer and I'll be back.
Okay.
You're going to start a W.O.T podcast gold fund on the Solana blockchain and
Oh,
pump and
yeah.
dump it.
I'm trying to convince Camel to, only playing around with him, like to do a Camel coin.
Oh,
Regarding the tokenization of gold, might that be like the wrapped BTC, Chemo? Almost like
yeah,
that.
yeah, technically. It would be very similar to that. Yeah, you'd have wrapped gold. Like, I don't know exactly how it would work. I don't know the technology in and out like that, but I'm sure somebody could figure out a way to have a stockpile of gold that's verified via blockchain or whatever with an oracle and tokenize it into wrapped gold. And you can then transmit gold and spend it anywhere and everywhere simultaneously, like instantly. Have an instant payment settlement with your gold. As long as it's trusted, verified, I don't see the problem in that. There's no difference than transmitting Bitcoin or anything else that you can prove is there.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Yeah.
Yeah, but how it works, I have basic concepts and ideas. I don't know the ins and outs of it or how to code it. Otherwise, I would have done it.
Yeah.
I guess you probably, I mean, you would have some sort of place where you verify where you have an X amount of gold, and then you put it on chain as Kimo said, you somehow, and then it's tokenized, and then most likely there will be other projects that will come and they will say, we're gonna somehow wrap it on the Ethereum chain because in Ethereum we can then use all the DeFi, and then people are gonna be like, oh, take the wrapped gold from on our chain, and then if you put it on our stake it on our website then or platform, then we're gonna give you 16% or 18%, or then there's a bull market top and people are gonna give you 120% so that you keep it somewhere on their platform, and then eventually it's just going to be another bubble. But
And
at
what about
least you might have, sorry,
confiscation?
go ahead.
I'm just thinking, what about confiscation? If they were to confiscate everybody's gold, everybody's Bitcoin, put it at the Federal Reserve or the European Central Bank, or all the central banks will hold all the assets, and then you are issued a claim to that asset on the blockchain. So technically you own it, it's just not in your custody.
Isn't that the CBDC almost?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just control everything.
That's something that that was one of those scenarios and one of those mental exercises that I kind of like to think about. It's like, what if they basically just go ahead and try to confiscate all Bitcoin, and all other Bitcoin wallets are just marked and labeled as dysfunctional, and by doing so, basically you disqualify a large amount of Bitcoins, like which basically increases the value. Like if the market cap itself would not fall because people would stop using it, then the people that would still have like valid Bitcoins would obviously then have higher value Bitcoin. Wouldn't that be somehow like like eventually the Bitcoin that is in the reserves would just kind of be, I don't know, be whoever is in charge would just then dictate the price, right?
Yeah, and I'd be concerned about like what Wall Street is doing and how BlackRock is, issuing ETF shares, but they're actually buying actual Bitcoin and holding it. They're actually in control of quite a bit of Bitcoin now. And as the years go on, they may control more and more of it, which would make them theoretically, potentially in the future, able to control 50% of the ledger on Bitcoin. And then they can do what they want with it, basically. That would be a scary thought.
Do you know actually, like, is there any kind of public information about how they keep their Bitcoin? Like if I assume there are multiple wallets and they probably have, I don't know, a certain kind of, they probably don't, they have it distributed. And maybe they have like 1,000 Bitcoins per wallet. I don't know. Is there any information regarding that?
Very little. I know they used to have it in Coinbase custody, but I think it was a month ago they started transmitting a lot of it into individual wallets.
Hmm.
And
Like, is
which
that
wallets were, I don't know that they showed you which wallets it were transmitted to, but theoretically it would be because it's all trackable on the ledger, but I haven't looked into it.
I would have to look into this because I had this discussion. I think I just started it a little bit with Camel. I think was just wondering. I know I think it was last Sunday or 2 weeks ago. I was just saying it's interesting when you look at the transaction, like basically the daily active addresses and the daily transactions. And when you look, normally, I mean, you would assume that after a bull market, when you're in a bear market, particularly in a steep decline, that after an initial kind of probably peak where people freak out and they just want to, just get into some stables or something, then you would probably see like a little phase or an extended phase where you have less active addresses and maybe also fewer transactions potentially. And so it's just interested into kind of like looking into things like either on Dune, or there's also the Artemis terminal. There are different kind of tools where you can just have a look at these things, or I think CoinGlass or things like that, and just look at how much, like how many transactions, like what's the daily transactions are and the daily active addresses in the time before the ETF launched. And then if you look at it, I actually just have it open. It's like there's a huge spike after the 18th of April in 2023. Like huge spike. It's actually, yeah, I mean it's an identifiable spike. And then it's kind of unusually high, I would say. And just recently, it actually, the daily transactions I'm talking about, they're just going down for some reason. So these kind of games are actually quite interesting in that context.
Yeah, and then you need to see how it plays out so that you can take that data and know what you're looking at next time the same thing happens.
Exactly.
Because they doesn't it take like a percentage fee of each transaction? It's not how they do it. So theoretically, they can use that profit to keep that Bitcoin and then just stack it up.
Oh, for sure. Like BlackRock, yeah, they're making fees on the ETF, on the exchange traded fund. They make a lot of fees. So if they want price movement, they don't necessarily need price to go up or down. They just need it to move and have trades happening, people selling and people buying, and they make money off those transactions. And that's part of the reason why the majority of the movements that I've noticed over the past year only happen in New York session. Like it moves a lot in New York session, and then after hours in Asian session, not much movement. London, it's got like half as much movement as New York session, and then back to New York session, it just moves because they want those fees. I think they're just pushing the price around, manipulating it in order to get those fees and potentially buy more Bitcoin.
Kimo, do you know, I always wondered how like manipulation work. Do you know how they do? They have like limit buys, and then they close it before. I never understood the manipulation thing.
Um, it depends on who's doing the manipulation. Like people talk about manipulation, but every market participant is actually manipulating the price to a certain degree. Even retail traders will manipulate it ever so slightly, but the very large players like the liquidity providers and or like BlackRock, they will buy price, they'll buy the asset up into a zone of liquidity where they want price to trade in order to, get those fees or just transact in a certain area, and then they'll reverse it. So they'll, if price is moving up and they need it to move down, they'll just open up massive short positions, and that instantly sells down the price, and then it pushes it down to another area that they're interested in, either accumulating or further markdown. And that works with like synthetic Bitcoin, if you will, like futures contracts. That's not actual Bitcoin; it's just a contract on the underlying. So it doesn't actually require any Bitcoin to move the price. You could do it with the futures market and push price up and down, because those contracts do they do feed into the spot price. You can take a futures contract and open up $1 million short position on the CME, and those will instantly sell at market the contracts, pushing the price down until somebody else buys it up. So it's a supply and demand thing. The market manipulation can go as far as somebody is willing to pay, I guess. He who has the most amount of money or the most amount of supply in a certain underlying asset can push the price wherever they want, really. And these liquidity providers over the years, they have acquired a lot of Bitcoin and a lot of money to do this.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's why I always say, like in my videos, I'm like, they have the money. They can put the price of Bitcoin at $1 million within a week. And they can put it at zero within a week. They can move price if they really need to. That's why you need a stop loss. You need to know what you're doing, what you're looking at, because they have the means to do it. I think if they were to move price more than say 30% in a day, I think you'd have an investigation into that. Like the Securities and Exchange Commission would be investigating who did that, because it's kind of seen as like not normal market movement. So you'd have to have some kind of crisis to make it make sense, which is why price moves on the news sometimes, like actually quite often. They're just looking for an excuse to move price where they want to move it. So they wait for a news event, and then price moves. And they're like, oh, it moved because of the news, whatever said whatever. And it's like, I don't look at it like that. I look at it as they're pushing price into liquidity where they want it, and they're using the news as an excuse to move price wherever they need to.
They wait for
And
the
that
news event, or they buy the news event, depends on how you see it.
Yeah, it's really just an appointment with the market. And then it gets explained away with the news, so nobody raises an eyebrow. Because if it just moves out of nowhere, it's like, okay, why? So like Bitcoin bear markets are funny. How the news will push price down, and like, oh, we had bad news, it keeps pushing price down until a certain point where price just moves down and we don't have any news on it. And like, okay, well, what happened? I guess they ran out of news to publish, and they just needed to push it down.
It's mad, isn't it?
It's scary.
It's absolutely mad. It's just a completely different world, a
And they
totally
control
different.
the news sources too. They control the
Mhm.
media. It just takes money. Like, what does it cost? Like $20,000. You put out an article on Coin Bureau or whatever, and you can move the Bitcoin price where you need to. It costs you 20 grand. You make a couple million.
It's
Just need the
mad.
connection. That thing.
It's mad. So, bearing in that in mind, and then don't forget you're dealing with a complete idiot here. Bearing in what you said in mind, what is the advantage of letting Bitcoin go up? over time?
Depends on who owns it.
Hmm.
So if the good old boys own it, then the advantage would be for them to maintain their hegemony and their
Okay.
power structure.
Okay.
For price to move down, the incentive would be to facilitate a buying opportunity and or to flush out leverage, take retail speculation out of it, and get people demoralized again, and then buy up the asset and push it up again. All assets kind of move up over time, but that speaks more to the devaluation of the currency than anything else. I don't know if that answers your question. Is that what you were referring to, or?
I was just sitting at the back of my mind, just listening to what you were saying, using BlackRock as an example. They obviously, I think I've even worked that one out, that they can push the price up, down, produce volatility, and make money out of it, which is what
Oh, yeah,
people do
for
now.
sure. They've definitely been doing that more so in the past year and a half. If you look at the liquidations on various exchanges, there's been a rise in liquidations over the past year,
Yeah.
and it's just volatility, and it gets explained away on that. I think there's way too much leverage going on at all times, and I think it's more and more because price isn't moving that much, and people are getting liquidated. It's like a 10% move, and people are getting liquidated. It's like, okay, well, where's your stop loss? Where's your invalidation of your trade setup? And are you holding positions underwater, expecting them to recover? That's not really the way the market works. The market doesn't want you to recover your wins. The market wants your money. They'll find a way to get it from you.
Yeah.
But yeah, more so this cycle, this Bitcoin cycle, more so than other cycles. There's more liquidations happening, and it just seems to be trading like a foreign exchange, the forex market, more and more. It's just all about liquidity, and you just need to see your liquidity. Where are they hunting liquidity? And then also, why are they hunting the liquidity? What is their intention? Are they moving price up or are they moving it down? And the only thing that I have to tell me which direction they're going is the closing candle trend. If it's closing higher highs and higher lows, then they're moving it up. If they're closing lower lows and lower highs, then they're moving it down. That's really the only indication I have, which is a real simplistic way of looking at the market, but sometimes keeping it simple is the best method.
Wow.
Do you know actually, do you guys like know what would happen or what happens if an asset like Bitcoin just gets so expensive that for the average person it's just somehow like off-putting, like basically nobody's interested in buying it anymore because it's just because people have like the general sentiment is just like there's no point because the people that got in early, they are rich and they own most of the Bitcoin, and if you then buy some, then it's no point anymore because the volatility as the asset matures, it's just not as high anymore, and therefore it doesn't go down, but it also doesn't go as much up anymore. Like, would you say that that would somehow hinder adoption, and that people at some point would just say like, why would we adopt that? Like, it doesn't have that kind of incentive anymore that it used to.
Well, you're under the impression that these assets were made for you. They're not
Uh,
made for you. So
I was
I,
just
I
thinking,
recently watched a video. This guy named Luke Broyles, I think he's a big
yeah,
Bitcoiner,
yeah,
and he said Max Payne scenario is Bitcoin is going to $3 million like this year, and that's Max Payne because people didn't buy enough of it. And once it's priced at that high, nobody's going to want to buy it. Your average person doesn't want to buy it. However, that makes the asset class big enough that governments can then enter and hold their wealth in that asset. Does it move up as much or down as much? Probably not, but the the adoption is already there. So they're not waiting for you and I to adopt Bitcoin. They're adopting it on their own, and price moves up. They're set, they're good, it's already adopted. So you don't take advantage of the adoption phase of an asset like that. when it already moved. So you're like, I'm not going to make money off of that. And that's your fiat mindset that we're all tricked into realizing. Um, you're stuck in that fiat mindset of, am I going to make money off of it? Whereas that's not the point. The point is you want to store your wealth somehow, if you have any, and hopefully watch it grow over
I was
time.
just looking at it from a perspective of adoption, but maybe the mistake there was actually that, if I understand correctly, what you're saying is that adoption is actually has nothing to do with retail, at least at the beginning, yes, but then later on, adoption is somehow driven by the adoption of governments, because once the governments can enter, then all the people, they will be practically forced to use it if it somehow is applicable or somehow useful for in a more kind of wider retail context. Is that what you want to say?
Yeah, exactly. You could think of the technologies that came out of the dot-com bubble back in the year 2000. And I think I said this on my first podcast with Creative Precious Metals here.
Andy.
Well, we could say Andy. I like the CPM. I mainly just like saying Creative Precious Metals with your accent.
Quite precious metals.
So we were talking about adoptions of technologies and how you have bubbles that happen. 1920s, during the 1920s era, the Roaring Twenties, you had basically the speculation that communications were going to do really well, railroads were going to do really well. There was just a massive expansion of transportation with the automobile getting invented around then, and there was a lot of speculation. But then there was a massive crash in 1929. And then what came out of that was the adoption of these technologies. You had highways being built for the automobile, you had telecommunications channels for the radio, and then eventually television. So then the technologies were adopted. The dot-com bubble, you had internet that was, people were speculating that anything with .com in there is going to be big because it's the internet. This is a new paradigm. And then it all crashed. But then what came out of that was a few select groups that were chosen to be adopted. But those were already adopted by the big money, if you will. They already put their money into it. And then the technology rises in value per share on these tech companies. And then by the time retail has money to spend, which is usually like 4 or 5 years later, they're already buying into the uptrend and getting the tail end of it. And then they get stuck holding the bag eventually, because then they get overzealous into another bubble. Currently, we have AI and cryptocurrencies that are kind of looking like a bubble, looking like it's a new paradigm. And what's likely going to happen with these technologies is they will crash. And then what comes out of that is the select few AI technologies and cryptocurrencies that are chosen to be the new financial system coming out of there. And those would be adopted by big money that put their money in at the bottom, 4 or 5 years from now. And that's where the money is like, that's where the adoption comes from. It comes from the big money telling us that that's the direction that we're going. And everybody being fiat minded is basically just chasing after what we're being told is the technology to invest in. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
2000% makes sense.
Yeah. So it's
It
all a
really,
big scam.
it is.
So
It
how do you
really,
protect yourself? Hey, you need to have some gold, man. You need to look into gold. And over 5,000 years, it keeps a steady value. So don't sleep on gold. It's a shiny rock, but hey, it's my rock.
yeah. I love that analogy that you put out. It's just
Yeah,
exactly how.
we're gonna start that. We're gonna start that. It's a shiny rock, but hey, it's my rock.
Oh yeah, it
That's a new
is.
catchphrase for the Watt podcast.
It's my rock. It's mine. It's so true, though, isn't it? So true.
Sounds
It's
like something that Gollum could say from the Lord of the Rings. It's precious.
my
Yes.
precious. Yeah, it is. It is interesting that if I try to keep it really simple, in my own stupid head, you just can't help but think, oh my God, there's bigger brains, bigger heads, bigger financial, deeper pockets, basically getting involved in a new thing, a new bubble, as Kimo said, a new bubble. And I think it's a little bit more in your face now when you look at what BlackRock's doing, obviously Saylor's doing. I do have my doubts about this 1 million Bitcoin sitting on this on the blockchain. It's just a game. It's a real game, and there seems to be so many red herrings. And because I don't know about you, Chemo, but because as a rule we are all so dependent on our fiat currency now, it's so easy for us all just to get so caught up in that world because we're so entrenched in that world that what's going on in the background is just will always go on. And it just seems to be easy for those people to just move the system just slowly in the background while all you peasants are chasing after your money, and will come up with this problem that's going on and that problem that's going on. And oh, you didn't get your strategic Bitcoin reserve, and you didn't get this, you didn't get that. And so you can start fighting on Twitter over it, and you can start fighting with XRP. And all the time, the major players in the background are just doing, hey guys,
Laughing.
the peasants are fucking around again. And come on, we can continue to do this. But we are our own worst enemy sometimes. But it's life. It's life. I've always said I'm not allowed to play on the chessboard. I can watch it. I can watch the game, but I've got to play on the Monopoly board. I'm not allowed up there.
Yeah, and it's the infighting that keeps everybody focused on their enemy, I guess. They're manufactured enemies.
Yeah.
So, like, Russia is currently the enemy, I guess, because
Yeah.
they invaded Ukraine. And it's like, well, why did they invade Ukraine? They have their reasons. And they're supposed to be our enemy? Or China? I don't understand anybody speaking in the United States like China's our enemy. It's like, why? They're not my enemy. I have no problem with the people of China. Uh, they're
That's what I
manufactured
would say.
enemies.
Yeah, absolutely. That's insane. Like sometimes also in Europe, when you grow up in Europe, you grow up like basically being told, and it's not really even something that somebody would say out loud. It's not necessarily. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm a little bit kind of just a brand marked or somehow it's on TV when you see the news. Sometimes you see Americans and they're just what people in Europe probably would define as very American. They just say things out loud in a way that people just shake their head and be like, why? Why are you saying that? But it's the same in Europe, I guess. It's just less loud. It's just people, and people don't like Russians. Like they're being taught not to like Russians somehow.
Yeah,
And people
yeah.
people are being taught not to like Chinese. Nobody knows why though. If you ask them, it's like, why should I be against the Chinese? They've never done anything to me. I actually, if anything, like I've always enjoyed their food. If that's like at least the European version of it. And so I don't know, I really dislike that. Like sometimes it's also one of the major reasons why I would like to learn a language like Arabic or something, because then at least I wouldn't be so dependent on whatever the media tells me, and I could just listen to what they say or talk to them and be like, and it's like 23 countries, I think, that speak some version of Arabic. I mean, that opens a lot of doors.
Wow, yeah. And that's the thing with like being international. Once you've traveled to other countries and got a different point of view from your home country, it opens up a whole nother world right there. Like
Definitely.
I've lived in Canada for quite a while, and I've actually while I was there, I would listen to the BBC News and get an idea of what's going on across the pond, and be like, wow, the way they report things is so much different. And then listening to the Al Jazeera news, and the reporting there is even different. It's like, okay, dude, somebody's skewing the story to tell something
Yeah.
different.
That's hilarious. It's a really nice way to put it because
Yeah,
in a way it's just there are some people with a lot of money and they want a story to come out in that particular way because they have a particular intention, and that's just 100% how it is. And if people say, "Oh, this is a conspiracy theory," I'm really sorry, but if you think that like rich, powerful people do not conspire together in order to maintain the power, then I'm not sure if that's really smart to think that. It's just the truth. I'm sorry, but that's just how
Yeah.
it is.
And like we were saying, to just keep us fighting each other, maintain this idea that there's so much racism going on, or classism, or this country versus that country, or this shitcoin versus that shitcoin, and have people focused on their own community and defending themselves constantly. It keeps you from innovating. It keeps you from thinking clearly. Uh, the political stuff, right versus left, conservative versus liberal. I mean, that's a huge one that keeps people's heads stuck in the sand, really, because they're so focused on, well, that candidate's going to win, so now we're all going to die. And it's like, calm down. It's probably not as bad as you think. I think if it is two wings of the same freaking bird, they're all doing their agenda, and this is just another chapter. You're going to be equally screwed either way.
Andy, how do you feel that or perceive or experience that? Because as a person from the UK, do you also have that feeling? I remember, for example, just to give you a tangible example, one time I had to go to, I think it was somewhere in North Carolina. I was on a mission for some kind of inspection of some clinical trial stuff, and I was in the in the lobby, in the hotel lobby, and I was just listening to the news, and it's just, even there was some hurricane or something somewhere, and it's just even the music, it's just so intense that I came out like with anxiety. I was like, holy shit, like I don't even remember what happened, but I remember the feeling that I just got like, oh, they must be really terrible. But then if you go back in the news from the 80s, like somewhere in a place nobody cares about, like Little Austria, somewhere in the Alps, like people talk super slowly, and the news is like really, actually, you really want to fall asleep. And then there's a certain evolution where it's just so evident that it's designed to manipulate you to get out and feel anxiety, feel like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't even remember what happened, but it's really terrible. Do you also have that feeling, Andy, or is that something that is particular, I don't know, to me?
I'm incredibly cynical of it all, mate. Um, I'm terrible for it. I really am. It's a shit show, basically. And I think once you start to logically put things to some sort of pattern that you personally understand, then the majority of what you can consume, even on social media, even like it's no different. It's a shit show, and the majority of probably the stuff people talk about, argue about, has no direct effect on me. That sounds very selfish, and a lot of people will push back on that. But what I mean by that, it has no direct effect on me, and I haven't seen it have a direct effect on my outside life, on my day to day. The people that I talk to every day, my customers, just through general conversation, is they're all freaking fed up with it. They're fed up with the shit show, and they don't trust nobody. And it's really interesting now. A lot of people will say to me, and this is of all generations, will say, well, you don't trust anything that you watch anymore, do you? And I think that is massive. That is absolutely massive, but it's still prolific in our Western society. But I think it's going to have a major effect going down the line. It's like this Trump thing. How many people like thought really and truly thought to themselves, and I'm one of those people, oh my God, we're going to get change, without absolutely really understanding what that change could impact everybody. Maybe I was just looking at it through my own stupid glasses. How's it going to affect me? And then I just sat and I thought, oh God, the only thing that's really going to change my life is me, and trying to adapt and understand what's going to affect me, my family, my children, my customers, and my daily exchange of what I exchange in what I call the real world out there. The rest of it is just a shit show. It really is.
That's massive what you just said there. Massive.
Mm.
So the only one that is going to change your outcome is yourself.
Mm.
Waiting on some kind of other entity to save the day. I mean, even the Bible tells you this. Like, don't wait on God to change your circumstances. Just trust in God and get it done. You know, you have to do something. Faith without works is dead. Um, is kind of the idea. And same thing goes with like investing. I've seen countless people shilling their investment idea, whatever it is, stocks and crypto or whatever, and they're basically just sitting there holding an asset, waiting for somebody else to pump their bags. Whereas I say, take control of what you're doing. You don't necessarily need to wait for somebody else to pump your bags. Look into learning how these markets operate, take control of it yourself. Same thing with your job at work. Like, you can sit there and do the bare minimum and just hope that an opportunity comes your way, or you can bust your ass, get extremely efficient at what you do, and the opportunities just pour in. It's incredibly powerful what you said there. Just, it's all a shit show, and the only one that's going to change your outcome is you.
Yeah, 100%. It's as much as um I've always looked through. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong, but it's something that sort of makes soul at a soul level makes sense to me. And Kem, I can't agree more. The more you rely, if you rely on, and this is a great example. If you rely on your wife to love you, and you just sit back and think you're entitled for your wife to love you, if you've got a wife or husband or whatever, just using that as an example, then if you just sit back and don't work at it to make your wife love you, then your existence is going to go wrong. Same with your kids, same with your pets, same with your customers, same with your friends. If you sit back, if you go out and meet people, it's like this. What I'm trying to do with the podcast. If I sit back and think, oh, everyone's going to come to me, then I'm fucking living on a different planet. I've got to work it. I've got to totally work it
Yeah,
and
work it and stay consistent. Yeah.
make things available. Make it yeah, 100% be consistent. But there's always been this part of the back of me where I've always wanted to trust people, and that's probably a humanity thing. I think we should all be able to have some sort of element in trust, but you've got to be careful. You've got to trust yourself. Sometimes you've got to trust that instinct. Sometimes you've got to trust other people's instincts. But you've got to take that responsibility and work it. I love that analogy of waiting for other people to make your destiny change or your future change. Yes, to a degree, if you're doing something and you are working with someone or whatever you're doing, if you want a strong relationship with your partner, then you do have some element of trust. But that trust is so deep but it's not a right, it's earned. It's totally earned. And I think getting back to where I started with this, because quite a few people are now distrusting what they're being fed, quite a few people are just like seeing it as a shit show. And the problem with that is, what is the next shit show that we're all going to start to trust to change our lives as a bigger society, globally, a nation state? That's the interesting one for me. But at the end of the day, it's going to happen whether I want a certain aspect to happen or not. So I have to make sure that I control the little bit that I can control and be the best thing that I can be, which is hard. And I've learned that a little bit late in life. I wish I was younger, but hey ho, if that's what I had to learn in my lifetime, then that's great. And then I can
Never too late.
pass that. Yeah, I can pass it on and feed it off to people. But it is a shit show, dude. You're right. If you really, 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 really deeply are honest with yourself, most of it's a shit show. It really is. and we're just like strung along. I love the analogy. I never really understood the Wizard of Oz storyline, but it's so apt. It really is. You're just living in this make-believe world, believing in something until someone pulls the curtains back, and you have that epitome or that understanding. You think, "Oh my God, freaking hell, what?" But you can have that and then live in that and go into yourself and just think, "Oh, it's unfair." Or you can realize it and go, "Okay, now I've observed that. What can I do with it? What can I do with that? Can I learn from that experience, or am I going to just sit there and pull my hair out, scream for the rest of my life, and just think, oh, it's unfair? Well, no one else gives a shit whether you think it's unfair or not. You've got to give a shit yourself, you know."
Oh yeah,
So
people are too worried about their
went
own.
over.
People are worried about their own demise, or that everybody's got their own problems. Like, go through life, everybody sees adversity, or sometimes they create their own adversity or excuses as to why things didn't work out. So they'll just live those excuses, explain it away. I did the best I could, but did you really? And if you look back on it, did you really give 100%, or were you more in the 70%, just feeling like you did all you could? I think there's a lot of excuses going on, and we can all, explain our problems on government. Like, government implemented this, so it made it so I can't do that. It's like, well, you adapt. Get up every day and give it your 100%, and then give it some more. Don't wait for somebody else to fill in that 25%. They've got their own 25% to fill. Everybody's got their issues.
You're up against it all the time because you're up against a generation or two that have looked towards what they're entitled to via handouts and bits and pieces and the propaganda of, oh, if you follow this, then you'll be fine. You can do this, you can do that. And that's hard to undo in a psyche sometimes. Whereas if you're lucky enough to have some good people around you that will just give you that little bit of wisdom to think for yourself from an early age, you've got the upper hand, but then it's still down to you to do something with it all the time.
Yeah.
But I love
Cool.
it. I don't know about you guys. It's a prime example. What I find really fascinating now, especially with politics, is people go, "Oh, I hate this, a name of a politician. I hate that person," and I just go, "Why? Why do you hate?" "Oh, because they're doing this." And I say, "Well, how do you know they're doing that? And why do you think they've done that?" And do you? And they go, "Because that's what this guy said, or that's what the news said, that's what the BBC." And I'm thinking, what? What?
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah, the media is a huge problem, getting worse as time goes on. The stuff that comes out of the news sources that we have available, like the mainstream news, it's just, some of it's really ridiculous and very skewed, or it's manipulated into getting the desired result that they want. Maybe it's working for them, but it's a lot of it's all lies, and it's all
Yeah.
spun. It's like, well, technically we didn't lie, but you didn't tell the truth either. So,
No.
Yeah. The problem that it's kind of sinister in a way that it's very complex because it's not necessarily, as I said, very often it's not directly a lie, but then you have like 10 counterparts that do the same. So it's not even a place anymore where you can say, okay, I don't know, there's this one radio and they say things that is propaganda, and there's this other radio, they are maybe a little bit more left. It's just everybody, it's like a meshwork of just crap. And so sometimes it's just crazy because I actually spent some time, I think last year I started to watch the UN Security Council sessions. Like sometimes it's really long, and I just, because of out of desperation in a way, because certain crises is somehow I don't know, motivated me to just somehow understand a little bit, at least the official version of what the truth actually is officially, even though we all know then there's a lot behind that. But if somebody who is a UN, I don't know, ambassador says something, then at least it's on TV, it's somehow recorded in form of some sort of, I don't know, a resolution, or I don't, there might be other forms. And then you can say, okay, this on the, I don't know, 26th of January 2025, this was the status quo. But then you just get kind of completely like dragged down. Like somehow it costs so much life energy to go through this, and I don't mean the time, I mean the energy to that you spend on understanding and feeling how pointless and useless and hopeless this is for so many people. Like where people that have no association or no incentive to solve any kind of situation actually have so much power, and you watch that, and the hours go by, and the weeks go by, and the months go by, and nothing happens. And in the worst case scenario, people die because of this. And you just realize, wow, this is the actual shit show. And I'm actually not even, I'm kind of well off because I can still exist and I don't have to worry that tomorrow I'm going to die. So I should just shut up and continue whatever I need to do to kind of improve my own situation. And that's all I can do. And it seems a bit selfish if I say it, if I listen to myself right now. But I mean, that's really, I don't know any better way to live. It's just try to be nice, try to, I don't know, learn stuff. But then in the end of the day, it can be extremely frustrating if you spend too much time and too much emotion on all of this negative energy that completely like that also there's nothing positive coming out of this. What do you have? What can you do? Like what can you get out of there? Like I don't see anything.
Well, the only thing that you can get out of it is you can tickle your ego and go, yeah, you were right. But you don't.
Told you so. Yeah.
Yeah, I told you so. But has that changed what you're going to do tomorrow? No. And that's massive as well, because you can get. I really get what you're saying there, one LV, because you can immerse yourself in so much stuff that at the end of the day, I can, and I'm guilty of it. I've been guilty of it, and I will probably still be guilty of it. But at the end of the day, sometimes I will go down these rabbit holes, watch tons of content. I'm not a great reader. Maybe I should be, but I'm not patient enough for it. But that's an excuse. No, I'm an idiot. But go down all these rabbit holes, take in all this content, and I sit there after a period of time and think, what the fuck did I do that for? Because all I've done is fed my ego of, oh yeah, that makes sense in my stupid, what I want to believe is right. But then I think, is that going to change the way I'm going to be a plumbing and heating engineer tomorrow? The bit that's providing a service that gives me fiat currency to transfer into sound money, it isn't. And I have to kick myself sometimes and say, or my wife does, and I'm just like, what am I doing? Is this of value to humanity? Is this of value to my family? Is this of value to people that I connect with on here? You know, it is mad. We are crazy people sometimes, but that's, I think, sometimes can be quite powerful to a network of so-called people, call them psychopaths or whatever, at a very high level, whatever a high level is, powerful status. And this is how people get so manipulated and kept down at a level to keep us at that level where, I know, they just fuck around with the bullshit in their minds, let them work it out. They find there's no value in it, but they still keep doing it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's the
That's
wake
exactly
up
what
bit.
it is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. And that's why I always say, like, we live in a social pathocracy. That's where people like Donald Trump and Elon Musk and all these, I mean, you can include other people as well. It's not really America related. It's just, you have them everywhere. That's why they can rule. They can do whatever they want. And I don't want to sound like one of those people that complain about all of these things without really trying to do anything against it. But it's just a social pathocracy. If you are a sociopath and you don't have the empathy to feel when somebody else is hurt or somebody else has not a good time, and that's why that facilitates you, that makes it easier for you to, just take stuff away from somebody, just somehow inflict some damage because you just don't see it, you don't feel it, so it's easier for you. It's like if you want to, it's almost like an advantage in a sense. If the advantage, or if the selection is, if you select for people that are just assholes, so then that's just how it is. And so what can you do? Like for myself, I just don't want to have anything to do with this. I'm actually happy if I can spend, the time like learning about Elliott wave, and then I just look at some charts and they don't hurt me. Like, I mean, if I don't, manage my risk, then they hurt me pretty much. But but
Oh,
other than
yeah.
that, they don't do it on purpose, like, or I hope so at least. They just, do whatever they need to do, and if I get good at it, then I'm gonna have a good life, and if not, then I have to get better at it. That's it.
What does TG23 say?
About fake news or
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like
responsibility.
where you're from. I don't know what country you're in, but yeah, what's your point of view from where you're looking at things?
So in Norway, we have like only like one news channel that people watch, and it's getting money from the state. So you can see where that is going.
Oh, no kidding.
So I've just stopped listening to that since I was young. So I'm usually just on X, but on there, it's just people here in Norway talking about. Now it's a big discussion. People are mad about we're giving cows like some drug so they don't fart anymore, and people are mad on both sides. I'll just stop listening to that. So I'm just focusing on myself, as you guys said.
Are they doing that? Are they doing that for real over there? Giving them the medication for that?
Yeah. So people are boycotting it, and it's a big deal on Twitter in Norwegian politics. So
Oh my
yeah,
gosh, people trying to play God. Oh my gosh.
yeah, I know it's everything needs to be owned by the state here. So, but
Yeah.
it's not like communist, but it's like it's much freer in your country. It is. Um, but I totally agree with you guys. Focus on yourself. Be nice to the people around you, and karma will come. That's my view.
Well, hopefully karma comes. That's the hope. It depends on the sociopaths. That like 1LV was saying, it's like the sociopath society there. They don't have the empathy, and it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Like our politicians and stuff, they're not sending their sons and daughters to war. And there's places on this earth that are just horrible to live in, and we don't see it every day, but they do for sure. They do. And our politicians, they're out of sight, out of mind. They don't care. They're just looking at their bank account, their bank statement, and getting paid. No empathy at all for anybody else on the planet. They just care about themselves, and it's totally a sociopath type of society that they've got going on.
Yeah. Is that the Davos clan?
Yeah,
Yeah, they are.
But that is just human nature, isn't it, to a degree? Because the what you're saying there, Cam, I could compare that very same nature to plumbing and heating engineers that I know, to all sorts of people in different trades I know, all
yeah. You
sorts of
mean you go to people's houses, make repairs, and it's like, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I don't care. I'm going to sleep good tonight. Is that what you mean?
no. What when there's people that just don't give a shit.
Yeah,
You know what you're saying about politicians? They don't care about what soldiers are going there and their parents and whatever. Hopefully some do, but I'm sure if they knew the circumstances and well, it's just I hate even thinking about war because I find it quite pointless. Why we have to kill each other for whatever I don't know, but that's another story. But if certain sociopaths, as you would say, have they're only interested in looking at their wallet. Well, I know people like that all over the place. You got people selling shilling in the crypto space that are just doing the same thing but in a different space. Plumbing and heating engineers that will go and charge older people 4, 5, 6 times the amount that they should be charging and not doing the
Yeah.
actual job that they're doing. And this comes down to this total obsession with money that it becomes the be all and an end all and can make certain people do things that for most of us probably don't think are right, but it's everywhere. It's absolutely, I
Have,
see it
have you
all
noticed it get worse since 2020, since the COVID pandemic?
100%.
How they pushed everybody online, and now you have that mask, and they made people separate 6 feet apart, and that I think changed people's subconscious into separating their very being from humanity, and now they feel like it's me against the world. I'm going to take advantage of everything I possibly can. It seems like everybody is more self-centered than they used to be in 2019.
I really I don't know if I have the same feeling, but I mean I said social pathocracy just because I have more the feeling that it's like a structural, a systematic selection for it. Like if you like if making a lot of money in a context where there's a lot of competition is somehow something that is a positive trait, and you're by society regarded as somebody who is a great person if you do that. Like if you basically somehow use your elbows in order to get there, then you will just automatically select for people that are like that, and the people that are like that will be in leading positions. And then our children and every school and everything, like every MBA school is a factory of people that have this kind of mentality, and that is a fact. Like there's no way out of this. So as long as we have this kind of, we're stuck in this, and yeah, maybe the pandemic somehow accelerated this or enhanced that. I don't know. That's probably also depending on your location, because some people were like suffering a lot. Some other people, they didn't really feel the change at all. And so I don't know, but I agree. I would rather somehow associate it to the economic downturn that came within the context of post-pandemic inflation or economic downturn in general. I think just that the moment when wealth distribution is just extremely unequal, then people just start being like very sociopathic, and that's just probably also a cycle. I wonder how people that are, I don't know, 100 years old see that. Maybe they have seen things before and after the war that were similar. I don't know, in the 20s.
Yeah.
I can,
Wow.
I can ask the people sitting behind me at the moment.
Gandalf, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. One, it's mad. I find it really frustrating. The older I've got, I find it even more frustrating. But it doesn't matter whether I find it frustrating or not. It goes back to what am I going to do with it? How can I educate my family, my children, with that little bit of knowledge, little bit of wisdom, maybe just recognizing it. It's a strange world we live in, but I've definitely, like what Kim was saying, I've definitely noticed that there seems to be more anxiety around what the future is, but not long-term future. It's now short-term future around people's lives. I think that's quite evident. I don't know if anyone else has thought about that.
Well, I don't know anybody that thinks long term. Like in my day to day life, meeting people, they're not thinking years out, and I'm
Yeah.
talking to people about financial situations and the way I see financial markets, and it's like you'll see in the next 3 years things are going to change, and we're likely to go through some hardship, and it's coming. But they're just like, oh, I'm too worried about the truck that I'm driving right now. I have
Yeah.
to keep it on the road. I can't worry about what's happening next year. I'm too worried about next week, for sure.
That's why it's so easy to exploit. I think, I mean, I'm kind of like reaching the limit of my words here because I've been talking a lot, so I'm going to stop soon. But I just end with two things. Like, I think that because I've been spending a lot of time thinking about how can I somehow like deal with this concept of social pathocracy, like for myself, like not that I want to change the world. It's like I don't know, I'm kind of over that. I just want to kind of and I think like for me there are two important aspects. Like one is that us as human beings, because I'm still not willing to accept that, you know, that's just human nature. I have the feeling that a lot of like, I don't know, like Adam Smith and these kind of like old classical economics people that they've thought like this, and they thought like this, but in the 17th, 18th century, when the world was a very different place, when there was, you know, you could just kill somebody, and you know, if you read these books, you realize they live in a different context, and it's very anachronistic. So yeah, they might, maybe humanity was like that back in the time, but I don't believe that anymore. I think it's kind of a story that we're being told so that it's easy to manipulate us because it creates fear. It's like Kimo said, it's creating division, and it's then easier to say, oh, they look different, so we have to hate them. And so one thing is definitely this, the one aspect is this cultural empathy. Like the more we get distant from what we how we look like and how we are, like, you know, the number of pigments that you have on your skin, or the size of your nose, or the color of your hair or your eyes, the less we are capable of maintaining a certain kind of empathy somehow. For some reason, this seems to be the case, and it's really sad. And I hope I try not to be like this, but I think we all catch, you know, ourselves sometimes saying like, why did I think this about this person? And maybe it has something to do with that. I don't know. But then the second big aspect for me is the time component, which I always kind of like think about as a dimension. Like we are not capable for some reason to somehow manage emotions very well in a time component. Like we don't remember very well how things have felt, even for us, like even unless it was a very significant trauma when you were like a kid, then we just somehow cannot really remember how things feel for a long time. Sometimes I figure much worse and almost impossible for other generations. Like maybe for your father, if he told you when you were a kid, oh, you know, we used to go there and we used to eat this ice cream, it was great, then you remember. But 100 years ago, you cannot feel what Adam Smith felt when he wrote The Wealth of Nations. And that's the reason why we will never, like, we can rationally integrate information, but we cannot somehow, we have to make an effort to integrate this emotionally, like emotional information that happened before our life. And that's why these kind of like cultural empathy and the time component, that is a big bottleneck. That's, I think, why we're so prone to be in this social pathocracy where everybody thinks, oh, this is just how humans are, and that's why we have to accept it. And that's it. So I don't know if how to deal with this, but I'm planning on figuring it out.
I absolutely love that. I absolutely love it, because all the time you was talking, I was thinking, okay, what 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 do we do in a busy life, in a social media life, in a busy life out away from the computers and everything? What do? We judge people now in 5 minutes, literally. So in that judgment of 5 minutes is what you hear, what you see, and we walk away from that interaction because, well, you know, you do it on you're flicking through. We're flicking through on our phones, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, judging. And I think that possibly is what happens when we're out and about. How many times do you get that one-on-one conversation when you're out and out for half an hour? It's, oh, I've got to go, I'm busy, I've got to go, I've got to do this. When you meet someone new, when you go into a shop, you just like want to get in, get out. You don't want to talk. So we end up just judging, and then that whole emotional getting to know someone, or even emotionally getting something out of the conversation to when we've met someone, we walk away and we think about how that conversation has had an impact on us for whatever reasons. It's going. It's going because I get it, mate. I get what you're saying, because we just do not spend enough time sitting there having proper conversation, unless you're on the What podcast, of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Which is, well, that was one of the motivations for me. But I so get it, and that has been accelerated. And if you think of what happened with the great flu season of 2020, that was just made even worse, totally worse. Because like, oh, you mustn't be near someone, you mustn't be doing this, you mustn't be doing that. It's fascinating what's gone on over this last 3, 4, 5 years. And with the acceleration of technology within phones, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it's mad. I really
I
sympathize
really
with what
like
you're
it how
trying
you
to
put
do.
it, the great flu season. I've never heard that before. That's fantastic.
Well, it was.
Yeah,
Really? Wasn't
yeah,
it?
kind. Yes,
Um, it, it's, it's mad. It's weird. It is really weird. You
But is
know,
that human nature, or is our human nature being manipulated? So if you think of having a devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other shoulder, kind of directing us, uh, is the media and everything that's controlling our finances, all of our inputs are turning people more selfish and self-centered, and well, it's survival of the fittest. I mean, if you think of animals in the wild, they're looking to survive. It's all about survival. And from a human perspective, you need your finances to be ship shape in order to pay your bills and to survive, to maintain your quality of life that you're accustomed to. And you were talking about people 100 years ago or 50 years ago and the way they interpreted society and stuff. And I think recently this new generation coming up, and even, well, all generations just living through the past 20 years in the West, the quality of life has been pretty good. And maybe we're desensitized to difficulties. So when small problems arise, we blow them out of proportion, like they're a bigger deal than they actually are, and makes us shut down and makes us think the world is ending when it's like, it's not really a big deal. It's, they don't have your kind of bread that you wanted at the store. Sorry, try
yeah.
again.
But in turn, also, I think that some things we don't see, like we don't detect for the same reason, because we blow things out of proportion, but other things that are actually important, we completely oversee. And then we realize, oh, maybe we should have dealt with this already before when it was actually a small problem. Now it seems, like it's difficult to solve. These things
Yeah.
are one and the same story, in my opinion.
Yeah, especially with like relationships. You can mend relationships pretty easily if you just are aware and you pay attention to problems that may arise. But given people's being a little more self-centered than they used to be, those relationships kind of go to the wayside. And I think people are becoming less personable. And this whole time I'm thinking of this W.O.T podcast and how it's a new paradigm. It's doing something against the grain, because nobody's doing this. Nobody's just hanging out and chatting the way we are, like we're in a pub. Nobody's doing that, and this hopefully this catches on and this this grows to something really big. That would be really cool. It could change humanity. It has the potential to do it because it's doing something totally different here.
I agree. Yeah, particularly if it can also involve people with many different opinions, many different perspectives, many different cultural backgrounds, and I love it. For example, TG is here. He tells us something about Norway. I mean, I've never been to Norway. It's fantastic. It's a great opportunity.
Bergen's nice.
Yeah, I'm from Bergen actually. So
Are you?
yeah. It's it looks like I'm talking negative about Norway. It's a beautiful country and
Oh, it's
beautiful
gorgeous.
people. And what I can say is we are really shy. Yeah, we're really shy. That's the thing. If we get fed information by people, we don't doubt it. We just, yeah, that's the fact. That's the truth. So I heard people talk about, you guys go to the pub in the UK. I've heard, and I feel like you guys are more open about things. You get to share ideas. Here is like one-minded. Everybody agrees, and if you doubt it, it's all everybody is against you. Yeah,
That's very suppressive, isn't it?
it's impressive, but it's now the last 2 years, it's much better. People are catching on to it. People are like talking about it, and it's much better. What Kimo said earlier about 2020, I totally agree with, especially my age. I look at TikTok, that was the big influence, I think, on the younger generations.
Oh man, oh
Absolutely.
man, TG. That's the only one thing that really like TikTok is. I think it's best to just leave TikTok aside. It's just really terrible,
Yeah, I
man.
had to delete it myself.
Yes, thank you. Great, good job. You're 19 years old and you learned, the biggest lesson. It's just all these social channels, particularly TikTok. Jesus, I
Uh,
just had the misfortune to deal with TikTok for a week, and man, I think all this kind of stuff that we were talking about, like that's all this kind of shit show is all kind of amplified on TikTok. It's designed to destroy your brain cells. I don't know. It's better just go out and drink some beers, and it also costs brain cells, but at least it's some investment. You get something back.
I
I could totally see that TikTok being really, really bad because everybody's individual opinion gets out there and it's a regurgitation of things that they see on the media. It's just a free for all shit show, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
I've never been on TikTok, so I don't know.
you
I
get put in like a group as well. It's like if you like this content, you only see this type of content, and then you create like a group, and
Big echo chamber.
yeah, you don't see others' opinions like you see on X, for example.
So can someone, because I've never used, well, sorry, that's a lie. I've used TikTok, but it blew my mind how to use it. So I just never been on it since. But what's the poison on it? Just
I
very
was trying to understand. I was trying to
quickly.
understand how it's used. Like because there are some companies like what's it called, Toth AI. They're basically designing some AI algorithms for TikTok in order to kind of, I don't know, increase the profitability, so eliminate the duplicate videos, etc. Like simple things. But so for that reason, they need people that go through the videos, and somehow because they do this reinforcement learning, so basically like it's some sort of training that where they train the algorithms, what is what, like if this is a duplicate or what type of it, etc. And so I just realized, oh Jesus, like if people do this, like there's a whole industry behind keeping people stupid, and they invest a lot of money. And you watch this kind of videos, and you think like, man, if somebody has to do this for a living, that's and obviously they do it for a living because there's a market behind this, because there's a lot of people that watch those videos, and that's just so sad. Like, I mean, you really don't miss out on anything, and I think it's terrible. It's just really, I wouldn't be surprised if in a matter of, I don't know, a few years, like there would actually really be some sort of evidence that there's some serious, damage, some severe form of anxiety or some psychological damage that comes out of these fast, very manipulative, designed to be manipulative videos that give you like somehow that cannot be good for your brain.
What is it a sell platform, selling, or is it a psychological platform
No, it's usually like
for you
some
to
short videos.
consume, or
Yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, TG, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not an expert at all. It's kind of like an accumulation of very short videos, rather short videos, where you have some influencers saying some crap. Most of the time, I think it's like, as Kimo said, some repeating something they saw on the news or in some kind of like way and with some kind of color. And yeah, it's not very informative. It's good for nothing. I don't know why people use it, but to each their own.
Yeah, you get also I myself, I lost a lot of attention span, like YouTube
Exactly.
videos. And most of the videos you can see like GTA things under because they need people to focus on that because they don't want to listen to a minute video. So they put things under the what they're talking about to get more attention because they know people don't have 1 minute of their life. They just want to swipe, swipe, swipe. So yeah, it's like a attention seek grabber. And I tried one experiment to make two accounts and then like one sort of content and one other accounts like another type of content. And after I refreshed the apps 2-3 times, I just get fed the same thing I liked. So that was quite scary, to be honest.
So, what you guys have said, is it like a platform that obviously once you hook into what you like, the algorithm feeds you, and then it feeds you an extreme amount of content quickly,
Yeah,
reinforce, reinforcing an idea?
yeah, and then you build on it. You go deeper and deeper. You get darker
Oh,
and
okay,
darker.
okay,
So yeah, you get like conspiracy theories that don't even make sense, and you start to believe in it, and yeah, it's crazy.
Andy, do
okay.
you know those short videos on YouTube? The
Yes,
short videos, yeah.
yeah.
It's basically like that, just an accumulation of only that, like swiping, swiping, and you get, I mean, I think so. To be honest, I'm talking too much because I don't really use it, so I have no idea. But I
Uh,
mean, that's what I saw.
it's like that, just more. You get put in a group quicker on TikTok. Yeah,
Okay, so the idea behind it is possibly to keep you hooked
it
on a
is.
certain idea.
Might be. I'm not going to get too controversial, but
You can,
I don't know.
if you
I
want
don't
to.
know. I don't know who's behind it. People say China. I don't know. I don't trust. I don't know. I don't trust anything. Might be the U.S. Might be the West. I don't know. Uh,
Okay.
I know. I know. DT Donald Trump has haven't been flip flopped because before I think it was the Republicans was against TikTok, uh, and now they are for it. So I don't know.
I
Uh,
see that as all a money grab, though. That's all a money grab. Like
yeah,
China
propaganda.
owns it and they're making profit off it. So let's curtail that until we can get some U.S. investors in that so that some U.S. investors can make some money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's hilarious. Then, in the end, it reminds me of that movie. I think it's called Idiocracy or something, where people get so stupid, like it plays into some kind of like fictive future,
Yes, I
where
love that movie.
it's just that's the end of TikTok. That's what TikTok is leading us to. It's just literally people are too stupid to like put water on a plant, and then they're like, and there's this guy who puts water on a plant. Look, it grows. Like, oh wow, wow, oh, it's magic.
They crave electrolytes. I
Yeah.
like money.
Oh my God.
It's all designed to make us dumber and dumber and dumber.
Yeah. Get rid of it.
No
Wow.
attention span. Can't focus on anything. Everybody needs medications to focus.
Exactly.
Mm,
But it's getting worse.
yeah.
Maybe too
Wow.
many inputs.
Wow, gentlemen, that's just blown my mind. Oh, we could have some. What I love about these conversations is it really gets into the deep psyche of us as humans, and it really, for me personally, guys, thank you so much as always. It makes me think about myself and all the things, all the stuff that you talk about makes me. I sit there and try and relate it to my circumstances and what I see, what I observe. It's so powerful. It's incredible, and I hope people that watch these can somehow relate to their own experiences through other people's experiences in their own way and have a positive effect. It's yeah, it's exciting, isn't it?
And then come on the Watt podcast and talk about
Abs-
it.
Absolutely. I
Totally.
I I I know I can only have 49 on at a time, but wouldn't it be nice if we could only have 49 on? That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
That'd be awesome. I'd like to see that. I'd really like to see that work.
I would. I really would too. I automatically sit there and think, oh my God, if that happened next time, which it won't, because obviously I haven't got 49 members, but they're creeping up slowly. But if, even like 20 people, but I honestly believe anyone that's a member and wants to come on would be respectful. They would, I think it would just flow really naturally. I really do.
To any viewer watching, I was a little bit nervous when I came on, but this is a big great, so I really recommend it. It's been a lot of fun, so yeah, I really recommend it to people watching. So
It's not as much pressure as you think it is it? There's
I
like no
was
pressure
nervous.
here.
Yeah, I was nervous in the beginning, but now it's like free flowing. Yeah,
Yeah, you realize there's nothing to be nervous about.
I'm behind a computer screen with TG23. Yeah,
There you go.
yeah,
It is fascinating, isn't it? Because I could understand it if there was that, or the beauty of it is because you get regular people come on, the conversation flows. So literally, you could sit there and just listen, but you're present, like you would do in real life. Some people talk a lot. Unfortunately, I do. I have to. My biggest thing is I have to shut the frigging up sometimes and just listen. But that's where the value is. But you always find that in people, So I've never put any pressure on anybody to do anything when they come on. They can just sit there, listen. If they don't want to sit there and listen, they can say, I'll encourage them to, like, I won't pressurize anyone. Like, you've only heard me once or twice say, Thomas, chip in if you want to.
yeah. I
The,
appreciate that. Yeah,
the rest of it is just, Ken will chat away. Like, there's no more. 1LV will chat away. I will, and most people will, So it's a nice way of just getting people used to it. There's no pressure, absolutely none.
yeah, I totally agree. It's a nice way to be introduced this podcast to the people.
Andy, I was thinking, I don't know if what you think about this, but maybe sometimes like a whiteboard or something when you want to kind of like explain some kind of like abstract mechanism or some thoughts would be interesting. Like if you just want to share something, since most of the people here are also traders, sometimes it's kind of fun to just draw something, especially Camo. I think also Kamosabi, they're quite talented drawers. And analysts. And I was
Yeah,
just,
like eventually we could share screens and stuff. I
mm,
know that you can share charts and we can all put our drawings on the same chart and we could all see it. I do know that's possible. That's something that I've done before in a trading
exactly.
environment.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I've got a little tag on here that you can have. One participant can share whatever they're sharing at a time, or we can have multiple participants can share simultaneously. So that's for sure. And it's interesting that you brought that up, 1LV, because I'm the type of guy that I can visualize a lot of what people say, but I find it easier. Sorry, I can visualize through my imagination of hearing what people are saying, but I always find it easier to sometimes see a visual explanation of what someone's trying to say. I find that is easier for me to understand sometimes. So it's a great point, a real
Especially when
great
it's way
point.
out there,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm open to any suggestions on how we can do anything. For sure. Thank you very much. It's 10 o'clock.
It's
All
11 here,
right.
but have to go to bed now. So
Yeah, I've been given my marching orders.
Been
Thank
great,
you very
guys.
much. Yeah, thank you very much, guys, for coming on. And I don't know about you guys. I never know. I always write down on a piece of paper. I wonder where tonight's conversation will go if anyone comes on, and I can't even imagine where it's going to go.
I think the same thing before coming on. I was like, I wonder where they're at. I wonder
Mm,
where we're going to go today.
Yeah.
And it's always
absolutely.
interesting. It's great.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
yeah, it captures your attention. Like I'm so happy I don't use all of these social media things. So my attention span is a bit longer than 10 seconds.
Absolutely. So yeah, great. Thank you very much, guys, for coming on. Hopefully see you all again soon. Thanks, Thomas. First time. Really enjoyed you sharing what you shared for sure. I'm glad you've seen it as a good experience, and thank you for saying it's been a good experience. And hopefully we can attract some more people on. Kem, as always, you fascinate me. The thing is that now, because one comes on a lot now, because you come on a lot, I'm really starting to get into this psychological way of looking, the psychiatry of your interest. And like Kem, I want to have more of these conversations, but maybe specializing at certain areas. Maybe that's something you guys are up for. Maybe I don't want to get too specialized on the podcast. I just love it where it goes. But if you guys are up for a deeper conversation on certain subjects, then maybe we could have it at some point. I know time's an issue, but I'd love that.
Sure. I'm happy to talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And you, Kem?
I'm always up for whatever.
Okay.
Free flowing. I love the free flow format. It vibes with me. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, I've got ways of contacting you all now. So yeah, I'll come up with some ideas and see what we can come up with.
Cool. Yeah,
Cool.
Whatever works for you, just let us know. And thanks a lot for organizing all of this, Andy. And also, TG, nice meeting you. It was great having you here.
Thank you. You too.
Take good care, guys. Thank you very much for coming on. Look after yourselves. Always remember, love is king. I love that saying. Take care.
See you. Take care.
See you later. Bye.